Beautification and Tattoo Studio.
Did I hear the words of
a generally deleterious effect on the economy of African nations. But some countries have ridden the wave more successfully than others based on the resilience of their economies, discipline, and prudent use of their resource envelopes in the period of this crisis. In my country, Ghana, our economy has emerged in extremely poor shape from the COVID experience. A ballooning deficit, double-digit inflation, a nose-diving currency, increasing debt distress are some of the symptoms of a very ill economy. Ghana's case was easy to predict with the cavalier handling of the economy by the current administration, unbridled borrowing from the capital markets, creative misstatements of budget deficits and other critical fiscal figures were certain to come to a head eventually. Ghana went into the pandemic without adequate buffers and has emerged with a terribly battered economy. To make matters worse, a pandemic windfall of in excess of 33 billion Ghana cedis, which could have cushioned the economy, remains unaudited and is believed to have been used largely in the quest to win election 2020 at all costs. The pandemic has laid bare, once again, the inherent weakness in our public health delivery systems and our social welfare systems. Take, for instance, the testing of COVID-19 globally. A report compiled by McKinsey and company showed that by May 2020, only 11 people per 1,000 had been tested in Mauritius, which had Africa's best record in that regard and had a population of 1.3 million, as compared to 166 per 1,000 people in Iceland, with a population of about 300,000 people. In Ghana, we could manage testing for 5.5 people per 1,000 for a population of 31 million people. Africa is still worse off in COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Out of 8 billion doses of vaccines distributed globally by the end of 2021, 3% had been administered on the continent, with only 8% of the over 1.2 billion living in Africa fully vaccinated. This compares with about 60% of vaccinations in high-income countries. It is my firm belief that Africa has survived COVID by the resilience imbued in us as a people by nature, and not by any skillful handling of the pandemic by any particular government.
Penny da Dow John Dramani Mahama and Wakasano, na yet one Sam Yanko Pimo, Ewo, or Snuko Kwama Nuku no emo. Was so for the child or not, and a she sick as so, Dr. John Kuma, were non so Edin Simbia Barber to Jadu Chiremu say, Send ye Biano or Warishimu, or GD Mapa essay, Ghana for Ebesanso Edi 2 mino, Edia share or Sunko NPP Amanyukuno and Sa, which Chiremu say, Yen or my Ganemo, Amanyuku Domino, a NDC ni NPP, Abrini Domina, Obia Kwa, Fishango Tripe. Not just say a unifiso, na amanyukufu for etimi aba which say, one more dear, sa 8 years no, a yadon babe breaking a pan. Into what Jidi Warishamu say, Ghana for Ebesheni Mahudwa, Ghana man penini NPP are buying etimi adia bano, no more general and also etimi edia tuaba, ediama or sunkoko amanyukuno. One more kasa ediafa edanom economic intelligence unit for one more shishu momudibetu ja essay. Say, yashi yam, and Apo say, a betimi abane say afim pimye ni eduonu na abatwa ye beto no endi samanyoko no ebedi nkonim na no ehun komo a womu edie na Dr. John Kuma editu dwa ese wonu de won jintum esan se wonim ewo gidie ewo Ghana for emu ese afim pimye ni eduonu nan won besan so editu me no edi ahye NPP amanyoko no ensa.
What they are saying is that NDC has high possibility of winning, but the caveat is that they must change President Mahama. That is like telling the camel to enter into the eyes of a needle. And so clearly, the NDC is going to lose the elections per this arrangement. And in the end, EIU prediction came through. Assuming they win, which is what Ambassador Sampiale is interpreting that revitalization means, if they go with him, they will win less instead of winning more. So either way, they see a win. Assuming that happens, it's also EIU, which is also winning in this interpretation. What I can confidently tell you is that looking at the standards that they refer to, the economy, corruption, slow governance, job creation, for me, these are very key elements that they touched on, that I think the Ghanaian voter will be in a better position to compare these variables and see which of these two governments in their 8 years have done better. And I mean, I don't have any doubt in my mind that if Ghanaians, after 8 years of the NPP government, wants to compare both performance on the economy, in spite of the COVID that we have suffered, a government that grew the economy consistently over 7%. In fact, even last year when we are rebounding from COVID, we have done 5.4%. And this year we are going to, we may even do better. So if you compare our track record on the economy, I don't have any doubt that Ghanaians will definitely give another term to the NPP government. On corruption, Ambassador Piali referred to several incidents of perceived corruption with President Mahama and the NDC government at the time, from Woyome to Waterville scandal to Asofotone, Jida, and the famous Ford bribe scandal, which he referred to. I mean, if you give a Ford gift and then the giver ends up getting a 30 million euro contract, you know, which you go and commission and praise when they started developing potholes in the same year. So all kinds of issues on corruption on the NDC as far as President Mahama is concerned. And the issue of job creation, that is very key. And going forward, I believe that government's innovative response, which we have announced in the 2022 budget about the U-Start, going to be one of the biggest interventions of any government since independence, on allocating about 10 billion cedis in the next 3 years to address youth unemployment and job creation in the private sector through the banks, through NEIP, and through GEA, so that we are able to reach out to many young people, support them to create their own jobs and expand the economy. I believe these are things that Ghanaians are going to see a lot of improvement and change. And so I will not be surprised that when the time comes and Ghanaians have to compare between NPP record of the 8 years and NDC record of the 8 years, they are definitely going to give another 4-year mandate to the NPP. What they are saying is that NDC has high possibility of winning, but the caveat is that they must change President Mahama. That is like telling the camel to enter into the eyes of
who is Wakasa Sia, Dr. John Kuma, and your sofa be the chair washing sick as some so a my ganemo. Yere Cassiano Quacopiemo, a Medina. Medina Lanquantana municipality honum, a greater Accra. One more and one more day in same be a diatun central for in him. Yomukanina and say, one more quine and ye. Goma kwa nye wamu chemu se ushe mantem biaya ajidi na chepa Medina uyi Medina fima enye na so eba no kwan padia wamu bi wona wamu ewo old road honom no na omde sansemi wamu de etodwa wamu chemu se traffic esipa eya dia cars efa kronum na so sa kronum kwan no na enye wamu de adesede e de ma aban sentem para so one share no you o makwan na emfa mom wamu echem se iso krapo eto a eyade a iso no ne na mufie se ya enti no aban hwe no onye bibi mfa ho emfa mom.
Oh, people come it's like if somebody is coming to buy something, the person the place the person will pass and come the gutter and the way inside. If somebody is coming to buy something, then it's affecting us. The place the person will pass to come and buy the thing. The raining and there's no gutter here. We have complained. If they are coming to vote here, they will come. But after voting, we see them again. So we are here.
Say traffic change from Doku road no ebe sinko race and now from Doku road no eko social welfare eko buchi ho no na cars ni na doje a aha no mbefa. Even though do akra odoje a obefa ha no akopie mame dot no side no ko but ni nyina mu obehwe kwan no obehwe road no eko down ho no eko see race e ho no mu no ɛhɔ no nyɛ car no ntimi mfa hɔ amana bi da hɔ ne ade nti cars no dodge fa akra na odu hɔ na ɔmo brɛ nti kwan we kra na yɛ bɛfa ne sɛ major road mile cars ɛnam ha ɛdei no ɛnyɛ cars ketwa.
We need to make sure that the government comes to our aid and develop the other routes, the linking routes for us, because especially when it rains, that's where the problem occur. Everything becomes clear. Everything, and everybody will complain because there are no gutters to the water will flow to other houses, causing harms for them. So therefore, it's good for the government to come out and support so that all the rules are developed.
Your best aban say untwa nani emehwe ewa ha ewo doku lane ni muso doku lane no ya eko voter lane ede ko risk ho no na aban no untwa nani behwe na kwan no ye kwan no at least got akro mbi twa mai na ontimi ensese kwan no mai ka kwan no de Oma anya ma esisi akra na at least on betwa gates no kra maye on be ye gates no maya na insu to na efe mu ko ne ade a ebe na ebe yese kwan no kra na eso ebe yi kakra omo a mfimfi na wa ha no dodo na ebia obi sini ni ama waste water na ade no omo de begu kwan no so na ade nti se gata wo ho a omo ye nsu a omo de begu gotem ebe ko gotem na ade se na be ya kwan no so no eso be da
etimemufo ne adehye a womo ewo Medina ena womo so ede omo hawo etime ede atu nsentwerefo enim no ye to akase no so de ahwehwemu Obaapa dedi esse afempimye ni aduonu a yewo mu aduane ena afense no insan dokodoko no eyade ane buo no etime akoso ohom chichemu aduonu echiripo 9 na enomo wonna womo edi aduane hodwa ono mudi nuban hodwa no womo chirechire mu nyanti a emprempren aduane ne insan dokodoko ni buo etime akoenim
pacho market no 520 wo and 420 ye nkuma kakra na ye 3 10 cedi. Okay here we the plantain akosro and take away niam na ye toto ni nyina bidie ni niam ni nyina akosro nti na ma ye plantain no so ne price na akosro last year na ye 3 10 cedi but na ye na take away ni niam na price ni wo fem kakala se na nei
take away ni ye den na mo kan take rubber no oxy
e wo fem aba fem kala nti se first no because first na niam na price ni wo fem ba na say die akosoro but ti niam ni nyina fem lo fem mo se ato petrol ka na wo de be free ho na wo de niam kakra bi be ba na wo 50 Ghana from market ba ti ano no ma wo titi sa niam ni nyina free mu a kakla bi nkati o lo nkaye 36 as a first and then can say 25 cities. They say near 2 Mukalakoso. Be an issue for me, 450. 1 moment in a camp. Yenu I connected 750,000. You know 760. One sister bring a cock when a man say, eh, equal about tuning. Banen were on, I on a be an about 10 cities.
Last year to maybe. Yeah. She this year no day.
This year no they take we gidi na kan. This year potential no I last 2 weeks here. Ni 75, ni 55.
Ni 2 weeks ago he 750. Ni this week 80.
Ni here in 85 ke 75.
Anyway yole. I wait 1 cedi. Ni ba 5,000. Abone
50 pesos.
50 pesos. Abone mi nenye. Aka 3 cedi. Imo akwe. Me nchi wami. Ne ya twi ni mai ko me 3 cedi. E ya ko me e. Be. Maje. Chafe. Come on. Banku. E ko me 2 cedi.
It's been cool, so they started increasing the prices. Price of the items, the flour, margarine, almost everything I can say is it started after the increasement of the fuel. Okay. Then our flour prices also increased. Later, everything. Flour was at first 200. Yeah, the big one, it was 200, but now it's 400. And then the margarine to the box, the bigger size, that one too, it was 200 the same, but now 400. So the the customers are also complaining because we have to also do it such a way that we will get our
market, you know.
Dina wono ewo legon honum wono nson echirechiremu eka ye nenti asese no aduane ne insan dokodoko ne bo etime akosoro yenkohwe.
So the stocks ran out, and again we come to the situation of low supply, and given the demand, the price will go up. Right. If the demand also goes up, the price will even go up. When we take wheat, because it's 100% import, and this is our staple bread, we have a lot of pastries now. Ghanaians depend so much on wheat now. Maybe the war, we can put it in, although it's a shock. For me, it's too short a time now. After June, I think that if after June, this war is lingering on, then maybe because of low supply, because they themselves are not pushing it on the market, and we don't shift our eyes to Nigeria, South Africa, Canada. You know, the northern hemisphere is also producing a lot of wheat. What will intercept our maize and some of our grains is again fertilizer, which we say a lot is also coming from Russia, and because of supply. Okay. So I think that 3 years ago, even when COVID came, we thought that we wouldn't get food. You remember we rushed and all that. We turned around. We will turn around. So you see a bowl of fufu, just cut back. I'm saying that prices slump because economics, the supply will increase for most of our food crops. When July we start harvesting, July, August, September, October, Z4, Infante, that's how we call August, Z4. Eat too much food because you see it's raining now. Everything is there. You see everything nice, but you can't harvest. Just August, everything is now ready for harvest. So the stocks ran out, and again we come to the situation of low supply, and given the demand, the price will go up. Right. If the demand also goes up, the price will even go up. When we take
that
from what we are getting, the increase in food prices, food commodity prices is it's a bit high, especially for this time of the year. So, for example, in markets like Goso, right? So from January to now, things like maize is increased by about 25%. Yes, from January to now. Something like soybean as well is increased by about 25%. But things like rice is relatively stable. This year we're seeing much higher prices, and yeah, I think perhaps production was not as much as it should have been. That's yes, towards the minor season of last year. The rainfall was a bit difficult to predict. So in our tour, for some of our projects, we did go to the northern region and interact with some farmers. In our tour, the rains were a bit difficult to predict. So there were cases where people had to plant and had to destroy them because the rain wasn't timed well and things like that. So I think climate change and predicting the rains has been a bit difficult. That's another factor. And of course, like I explained, the cost of inputs, right? So some people were probably not able to plant at all, or not to the size that they would have liked. And so these factors would have affected the volume of produce that would have been available. But I believe that in all of that, this is not a new problem. And the government of the day, right from the very first government of the Fourth Republic, have been dealing with this, and I believe that it's something that
so now in penifo ahodo a wo mo chire nti a prempren aduane bo etime akosoro no one more any sister station City TV4 and na ehwetwe nkoma wo di sansemi etu wo mani ma yenso ya fe bi ede amawo ye to ansam no so dia na wotwe wieye akwanhia asroto mienu na esi ye ni nyina esi ye ewo Akosua Cape Coast Kwantimpon eso baako esi ye ewo Gomwa Impota na baako nso esi ye ewo Gomwa Mankesim na ekobie kire nipa mako aduanansia epraya womo eji eyarehwe na sakwanhye bi sa esi a nipa yedi kan fe omo National Fire Service for openia woko ye ani ono ye oye commander National Fire Service wini ba Municipal Fire Service no oye commander ewo honom DO3 kwesi wono ene central for ekasaye church kwanye fa so a akwanhye etimi ba ye na fence no de nam so akwanhye e ba ye yenkohye
A 25 GN 2572-10 ono so elodi nkofo nkwara ne brode bebre overloading na this program le ba all kwa na netai epaye na driver no lose control na do say man no so si Ogumwa Mankesim netai paye a o hwe omo nyina gu ho sa no so yasesa omo ipra sa de omo cultural mind specialist hospital. The accident in the a problem be I say yehwe na ye nyina we should come on board na deal with it. A driver for so almost so margin passenger for so as so almost so margin na infantile control but we load nipa 38.
So now akwanhye esi ye na wotwe wie ye ewo Cape Coast Kwantimpon so na wo ho ye se DO3 kwesi wotimi echechiremu kwanye nam so a sa akwanhye etimi esi ye na menjina wo nsem so na na no pe kase amede bre wo sa no pa no nsia kase no memfa wo fensi aseda kase confirm am sa wonya bre ni adaje na wo hwe XTV ya no pa no nsia kase wo me live dia e Facebook XTVGH na ye wi ansem nyina ya boni nyina bede ewo YouTube a obenye bi ahwe na waken kan na wo so comment na wo like na wo share mafoforo so esa etimi asobe so eye XTV Ghana YouTube XTV Ghana TikTok eye XTV 391 and I no pay one of which come na nechi e mame eye DJYX na fence no faith Samsung you try me etu mo MC aho eye law abra Bismarck nso e tan nechi didindin na se wo pese wo di dwuma bi wo pese e bohu dero e de mawa e wo ye fidie so ade hia ne se obefrem panifo kuma bi pani e bejewo na yetimi abohu dero e de amaw eno ne se obefre ye e wo 0204 700404 0204 700404 mpenifo no be kasa fefefe no mbetimi acheche ni memu etime ede amaw na enanope me executive producers eye opening samituga ena fence no na adwa sapoma producers eye Stephanie ena fence no Fafali ena Faith wo munyina etamechi didindi me dia sedaka sepa ede emawo Obaapa Mavis Akosua Atteh enimidi me sorry sweet die eye agudie mu nsem dia eso watre bayankasa menu abema Michael Foria Tamwat waye krado inti bomadia na tweno ye basisia
German beautification and tattoo studio.
Said I hear